Hi, Charles.
Hey
Um,
Rebecca, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I just want to say hello and welcome to all of our viewers that are on today to be able to hear from you. One of our wonderful consultants on the CBT certification through Evergreen Certifications. My name is Rebecca, and I'm coming to you live here from Evergreen Certifications. Please feel free if you would like to learn more about this particular certification that we're going to be talking about today. We have a QR code that you are able to scan and dig into it a little bit more. So I will turn it over to Dr. Jacobs here in order for him to give us a introduction as to who he is before we get started.
Well, thanks Rebecca. It's good to see you virtually here, and thanks to everybody for showing up. My name's Charles. I'm a psychologist, and I've been doing work with PESI for a long time, and I've been. Well, you gotta tell me, have I been with Evergreen since this whole started, or did I come on right as it began, or I don't know where I was in sequence here.
So in the beginning part, I would definitely believe you were a part of that particular process. As once the certification standards were created and the understanding that we are going to need some consultants, that's around the time that you would have been consulted with our team in order to give us a yay or nay on being an actual consultant. So definitely in the beginning stages of the certification.
Well, it's been a fantastic experience, Rebecca.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. So, just to go ahead and get started, the first question that I would love for you to take a shot at is, please let us know, why should a professional, a clinical therapist, or anyone that can be able to obtain this particular certification consider it? Why should a person get certified in CBT?
Sure. Well, I mean, if you're going to call yourself a CBT clinician, which a lot of folks do, you really do need to be able to provide some proof that you're competent in the service that you purport to offer. And certification, it's probably one of the best ways to assure folks that you have sufficient training. And I assure you, not being paid for the endorsement here, but I meant what I said sincerely. It's been a lot of fun. Evergreen has gained a reputation very quickly as one of
Mm,
the better providers around. There's some name recognition here. The
absolutely.
term CBT, it's pretty ubiquitous. It's important to make sure that you have a clear understanding of how this applies to actual clinical work. With a lot of the clinicians that I've worked with, the feedback has been pretty consistent. That I understood all of this so much better once I got some
Mm.
actual feedback on some real cases.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's important for our viewers to hear something like that, just because of how common CBT is used by providers. So, my next question is, what is unique about this particular certification? What knowledge will professionals gain by obtaining it?
Well, I think it's been really great to see the emphasis on experiential trainings and certification. There's a lot of these popping up as of late. It's a big industry right now, and the quality can be pretty variable, frankly.
Hmm.
In my opinion, the emphasis on the experiential piece is the biggest selling point here. Like a lot of the certification programs that you see, they're really just CEU programs. And
Mm,
yeah, what's the expression? Like you should never mistake a postcard for actually going on vacation. You know, this certification, it's all about providing direct feedback regarding actual
yeah.
cases rather than just learning more theoretical constructs. Uh,
Mm,
for most folks, when they're first getting started, like none of this makes much sense until you're able to actually get feedback on your clinical work. Like just learning about this as a theory, I don't think that's anywhere near as useful as learning about how this applies to actual clients.
absolutely. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Now, who can actually obtain this particular certification?
It's the people you think. Anybody that is licensed in the helping professions, psychologists, counselors, social workers,
Mm,
psychiatrists, psychoanalysts, anybody
mm,
in the licensing of creative arts therapists or something like that. Pretty much anybody that has the ability to provide direct services.
absolutely. And anyone who, you may have heard the indications that Dr. Jacobs has provided. If you want to know more on whether or not you may qualify, please check out our website by using the QR code and getting those details as well. If you did not hear your profession actually listed there. So my next question, right? This particular certification requires an applicant to present two clinical case studies, which you have been talking about. Can you explain how will completing these case reviews help enhance their actual clinical practice?
Yeah, again, it's one thing to learn this stuff in like a classroom or a conference setting or something like that. It is so much more
Mm,
important to work with an experienced professional to guide
mm,
you through what it means to implement these techniques in real time. And when I say experienced professional, like I'm not referencing me necessarily. Evergreen has one of the more impressive rosters around for sure. But again, I hate to keep sort of saying the same thing again and again, but I do
mhm,
really want to emphasize that it
mhm.
is one thing to learn these theories in in a classroom. It is quite something else to actually take some cases, bring them to someone, and get some real time feedback.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes. My next question. So, after a person's initial 3 years of being certified, a renewal is required. Why do you think it's important for a person to maintain the knowledge of CBT?
Well, I think it's so easy to lose your footing with this stuff, right? I mean, to some extent, like we're talking about burnout, I think that's part of it. But I think it's something else.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes, if you do any job long enough over enough time, it does get to be a bit rote. It's so easy to find yourself getting into a routine with this type of work, especially with some of the more
Mm-hmm.
directive approaches. And I think getting recertified is a really nice way to get reinvigorated with this type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And not just that. I mean, there's a lot of scholarship that's ongoing. The world of psychotherapy and CBT in particular, it's ever evolving, and it
Mm,
can be immensely helpful to have guidance from professionals that know the research and know some of the developing trends.
absolutely, absolutely. Yes. And as you indicated, and I mentioned before that you are one of our consultants, can you share with us and our audience why were you so passionate about being an Evergreen consultant for this certification?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I've been in the CBT world for a while now. And I mean, again, this is going to sound like I'm really extending a lot of praise to Evergreen here, but I was really flattered when Evergreen got in touch with me about this kind of stuff.
Mm,
Doctors Sears and Pratt, the other two consultants I know that have been there for a while too,
mhm, mhm,
they're impressive to say the least. I think I've been hearing Pratt's name for years, and it's really cool to get to work with some of the more highly regarded clinicians and scholars in this particular area. And again, it's been a real joy working with the organization. I'll put in a plug for you, Rebecca. You've always been great with answering emails and questions from everyone.
mhm,
I don't want to say that too loud for fear that you get too many emails or something now, but I've been very impressed with your responsiveness to people. It's been very nice.
absolutely. Yes, I'm here to help. I'm definitely here to help and really enjoy supporting all of our wonderful customers who are wanting to enhance their practice by obtaining one or many of our certifications. So thank you for definitely your time, for coming by and really giving us an opportunity to showcase this particular certification, just letting individuals know why it's important to have it as a therapist or as a helping professional in the clinical mental health field. I really do enjoy what you said in terms of, or respect what you said in terms of, if you're going to call yourself a CBT therapist, really have something to back that up. And here we are able to support individuals with offering that. We do have a live question. If it's okay
Sure,
that we provide an answer to it, since we have maybe a few more minutes here.
sure.
So our question says, what are some techniques and approaches you use for individuals with conduct disorder, such as boundaries, appropriate communication, connecting with others, and etc.?
Well, that's interesting. So I would assume when we're talking conduct disorder that we're mostly referencing children here, right? Which I think my standard response to that is that I always tell people just don't work with children. It's a very difficult area for sure. But I'm being silly there. That's a great question. I mean, most of the time when we're doing anything in the world of cognitive therapy, the first place that we start is to run it through the schema. What is first and foremost the specific behavior that we're trying to target here? And with a kid with, that meets the criteria for a conduct disorder, that's going to be challenging because their motivation to change some of that stuff might not be substantial. But we would try to figure out. Someone said this to me once, and it always stuck with me. What is their currency? Like what are the things that they do actually want to try to work on, and we'll use that as something in the way of an incentive to try to push forward here. And then we back channel and try to fill in all the basic pieces of the schema. What is the triggering event? What's the emotional response? What's the core belief that drives forward some of the automatic thoughts here? And then the interventions take place at the thought and the behavior level. I mean, with your question, Cassandra, it's a great one. We need to know more about what specific behaviors we're trying to curtail here. And then we could sort of make some better ideas about what the interventions would likely be. I mean, it depends. Sometimes with folks that have labels such as that, I think one of the first places that we start is trying to figure out, like, what is the motivation behind the behaviors here exactly? Like, what are they trying to achieve? That's a great question.
Look at that, right?
Look at that, indeed.
Live consultation right there for you. So this is just an idea of what you all can get once you begin the process or even choose to, embark upon the process of getting this particular certification. So thank you so much, Dr. Jacobs, for even answering our viewer and just spending that time with us today. I really
Thank
think
you.
it was very helpful. Um, and look forward to continue to working with you.
Oh,
And
same.
thank you to all of our viewers today. We really appreciate your taking your time out of your very, very busy day to tune in to us and learning more about our certification. Bye
Thank
bye.
you, Rebecca. Thanks to the audience. Thanks.